Hey, Real Green Ninja here. The video you're about to watch is a supplement to the existing tutorials and help videos already available on the Real Green website. I do take a more casual approach because I'm presenting this information as I would if you called in, although I may have a little fun with it. This video is based upon the information I, as a Real Green technician, would provide using my experience on the help desk. This video was created on my own time to assist with areas of the software that may be waiting for an official help video or tutorial. At the beginning of the training video, I will have the version of the Service Assistant the video was made with. I will also try to be as accurate as possible, but be aware, as Service Assistant updates are released, things may change. I'm using the name Real Green Ninja as not to stand out from the other amazing technicians that I work with. I hope the information in this video helps you, so grab a cup of coffee, and I hope you learn something new. Hey, Real Green Ninja here. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to talk about how to set up a computer to work with a hosted environment. Now, the hosted environment and a local environment are two slightly different things. When we call it hosted, what we're talking about is when you connect to Real Green's servers. Connect to our servers, you connect to a remote desktop, and then it allows you to get into Service Assistant and do your stuff. A local environment, even if you're like a terminal server user, that means that somewhere on your location or someone at your company or maybe your IT company controls the server. All right, they're the ones that maintain, make sure backup's done and stuff like that. Now, one nice thing about the hosted environment is everything is actually in a Windows 7 environment. So that means that it does not matter if you're connecting with a Mac or iOS, what version of Windows you're connecting with, because once you get connected, you're going to be working in Windows 7, which is what a lot of people are familiar with. So let's go ahead and begin getting it set up. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to open up a web page, okay? And you're going to, let me go ahead and close that real quick. You're going to go to view.service. Oh, I'm sorry. It's going to be https:// and then the https is important. Okay, so let's try this again here. Give me one second here. https:// and you're going to do view.serviceassistant.com. All right. Once you put that website in, you're going to push enter. It's going to take you to this website right here, and you'll see it recognizes that I actually am running a Windows computer. Now, if you have a Mac, it's going to say Horizon Client for Mac. If you're running like iOS, which is like your iPads and stuff like that, it's going to say iOS. If you're running Android, it will say Android. So one cool thing about the hosted is that you can actually connect with different kinds of devices. You're not restricted to a particular operating system because, again, once you get connected, you're going to be in a Windows 7 environment. All right, so we're going to go ahead and click the Horizon Client for Windows. Now, if you are running Windows, it is important. You need to know whether or not you need the 32-bit or the 64-bit. Most computers nowadays run 64-bit operating systems, but I've seen a few of them out there that are 32-bit, which is also the x86 version. All right, I can't show you right now because I'd have to change my view and stuff like that. But on the lower left-hand corner, you should have your start button. If you're running like Windows 8 and you don't have a start button, you might have to do a search. But pretty much what you're looking for is you're looking for what version of Windows it's running. And if you have the start button, you click on the start button, you'll see an entry that says PC, this PC, my computer on the left-hand side of the window that pops up. And you're going to right-click and choose Properties. And when you do that, it's going to pop up a window. It's going to tell you what version of Windows you're using. It's also going to tell you if it's a 64-bit or 32-bit. So again, you're going to want to make sure that you grab the right version. I'm going to grab the 64-bit because that's what I'm running. All right. If you're running 32-bit, again, you grab the 32-bit version. Mac, you don't really have to worry about it because you'll see there is no 32-bit or 64. They also have a client for Linux, iOS, as well as Android. So again, you'll see they have clients for pretty much any operating system that's out there. All right, I'm going to go ahead and click on Go to Downloads. It's going to take me to this web page. Now, you always want to try to get the latest version. The only exception, if you're running XP or Vista, I believe XP you have to stick with version 1.0, which is going to be here. I'm back on this screen. Okay, I think Vista can go up to 2.0. I'm not sure about 3.0. Again, I'm not a VMware technician, but again, we pretty much try the latest version. If that one doesn't work, then we try to figure out which one does. So again, like I said, by default, it's going to put on the latest version for you. But going back to this, go to Downloads here. Again, is where we want to get the latest version, which, like I said, defaults to the latest version, and we're going to hit download. It's going to ask you where you want to download. I always recommend downloading it to the desktop, just because it's the easiest place to find something. Hit save. It's now going to download that file for us. Now, once the file's downloaded, then we can go ahead and run it. All right, so I can click on it. It's going to ask me if I want to make changes, if you have the UAC turned on, stuff like that. And it's going to come up with this window here. And we can go ahead and close this web page for now. We don't need it anymore. It's going to say, computing space requirements. It's going to be doing its thinking here. And then finally, we get to this window. Like with a lot of things, you're pretty much going to hit next. I agree. Next. And next. Next. The one thing you want to hold off on is when you get to this default Horizon connection server. All right, this is you're telling the system which server you want to connect to by default. Now, for most time, I tell people go ahead and put it in here right now. If you forget to, that's okay. We can always add it later on. But we're going to do that view.service. Oops, if I can type it right. .com without the HTTPS : / All right. So again, view.service.com. Hit next. Hit next. Hit next. Hit install, and it's going to go ahead and start doing its thing. Now, one thing to be aware of though is when you do install the client, you will have to reboot the computer. So if you're in the middle of something and you want to save something or whatever, you will have to reboot. Make sure to save that stuff before the reboot goes through. Now, I'm not going to reboot right now simply because I'd have to stop the recording and then reboot the computer and start the recording again. So I'm going to go ahead and finish right now, and I'm going to say no for right now because there is another step that you will need to do in order to be able to use the host environment successfully. And that's installing fonts. All right. Now, when I do my hosted trainings, I actually get the login credentials a little bit ahead of time, with the default password and stuff. And of course, my hosted customers, they set their own password in training. And then that way I can't get into the environment anymore unless they give me the password or log in for me. But I do put, I have like a fonts to install. I think it's called fonts to install. I put on their S drive. Which I think is their S drive. Yeah, I think that's a drive that's their storage drive. And I put it in there so that way they can actually grab the fonts at any time, throw them on a memory stick on the work computer that can connect to the virtual environment, come over to the new computer, and then throw the memory stick in there. Or email them to themselves. If you don't have these fonts and you need these fonts, give Real Green a call. We can get them over there for you. And the reason why these fonts are important is because inside this fonts to install, let's go ahead and open it. We have 3 fonts that our software uses. One of them is BC Font, Okra Text, EXT, and then PNet. All right, so I'll go ahead and close that because I've already extracted them. Boop, there they are. And if you open up the PNet, you'll see it just looks like a bunch of lines, a bunch of bars. The thing is this is the barcode font that's used on things like invoices and remit portions of statements. So if you're printing out your invoices and the barcode, or where the barcode normally would be, looks like a whole bunch of comedic or comic book swearing, like ampersand, plus sign, minus, all that stuff, it's probably because you're missing one of the fonts. To install a font, all you have to do is do a right-click and install, and it will tell you if it already exists. Now, because I have a local install service assistant to be able to do these videos, I already have all 3 fonts installed. But I go ahead and do them anyways, all right? Because, again, your computer might have one of the fonts, it might have none of the fonts, it might have all 3 of them, but you want to try it anyways. And it's going to ask if you want to replace it. If it's already there, you don't have to worry about replacing it. And then right-click, install. It's already there. Again, like I said, I already have the fonts. Okay, right-click, install. And again, now if you don't have the font, it will go through and just install it for you. But like I said, you do need those 3 fonts in there. All right, so now that you have the fonts installed, now that you have the VMware installed, again, you want to reboot the computer. You'll be able to log into the virtual environment. So let me go ahead and stop the recording for right now. I'll reboot my computer, and then I'll show you the login screen and stuff like that.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
And the computer's been rebooted, so we're back. Okay, so here's the VMware icon that is now on my desktop. This is what I can use to log into the host environment. Now, this is the latest version of the icon. So, as of May 31st, 10:45 a.m., this is what your icon is going to look like. There are some older versions. I talked a little bit about how Vista and XP need older versions, and they look like 2 squares. One's blue, one's green, and they're in a diagonal, and their corners are overlapping, or whatever. So the icons, it looks a little different. So I can tell if you have like a newer version or an older version when I get connected, through the BOM guard and see what you're looking at. So the thing is, that this is the icon you're going to do. Now, as far as the fonts, you can install those anytime. You don't have to install them like at the step I install them on. You can install them before you do the VMware. You can do it like when I did, right before I did the reboot, or you can even install them like right now after the reboot's completed. You just want to make sure you have those fonts when you're before you actually start printing things. So get those in there, and you might as well since you're already installing these services or the VMware. Okay, so when you double-click this VMware icon, it's going to open up this window here. And you're going to see there's that server that we put in when we did the setup for the VMware. If you forgot to put the server in there, then you can just hit this little new server icon, type the server in there. Again, it's going to be view.serviceassistant.com without the HTTPS's in front of it. But again, you can always add it after if you need to. But like I said, you might as well put it in when you do the install, so it will be in there for you. So you're going to double click on this, and I am borrowing this ID from one of my fellow coworkers. I unfortunately do not have my own VMware login because when I first started out, the host didn't exist. It wasn't officially released yet. So because of that, I didn't get set up with one. But when they hired the latest batch of technicians, they actually gave them access to their own virtual environment so they can play around, get familiar with it and stuff. So I kind of cut my teeth on it, starting out from the very beginning where they're, already established, and that's why they get the logins. So again, I'm going to borrow him. So thank you, this mysterious person whose name I'm going to black out when I go to post the video. All right, so we're going to go ahead and hit the login button here. It's going to take us to this icon. Now, if it jumps right to that host environment, that means someone has the auto connect turned on. And there's once in a while we have to turn the auto connect off, and then so that way we can get to this icon. And the reason why is because under this icon, when you right click it, there are a couple options. You'll see the default way to connect is PCOIP. It's not important for you guys to understand or know what this means, but pretty much it's the way this computer that you're on right now is going to communicate with the hosted desktop computer, the server on our end. PCOIP is the most stable. It's the one that is most successful connecting and stuff. But the Microsoft RDP does give you a couple options, or give you a little flexibility in that if you do Microsoft RDP, it will actually show you the hard drives that are on your computer. All right, and it makes it easier to transfer information back and forth. Unfortunately, sometimes people's security software, like their antivirus or their malware or whatever, might block it. But again, if you don't have it blocked, or if you don't, if it's not blocking it, or you figure out how to do exemptions and stuff like that, it just makes it easier to move files back and forth between the environments. So I usually like to do RDP if I can get away with it. Also, you can come down here and choose what the display setting you want to do. Now, all monitors means it's going to expand across all monitors. Now, I have three displays connected to my computer right now. I'm only using the one for the video, but I do have 3 displays, and because of that, I'm going to go full screen. And what full screen does is it's going to make it open full screen on the monitor of this, this screen right here that you're opening it with. So again, if you do all monitors, it's going to stretch across just like your computer would. Full screen, it's going to open up full screen on the monitor that you're currently on. You can also do large window, small window, as well as custom resolution. Again, you can do that if you want, but most people, it's either going to be all monitors or full screen. All right. If you click on the settings here, it pretty much just takes you to those same settings. And again, there's an auto connect to this desktop checkbox there. Like I said, there are some things like if you're having trouble connecting. All right, one of the first things we might do is flip which protocol you're using. So if you're using RDP, we'll try the PCOIP. If you're using PCOIP, we'll try the RDP and see if it's an issue with the protocol or not. So again, sometimes we need to get this, and we might have to have you log in the environment, turn off the auto connect, and then come back in, and we can make that setting change. And then again, that's going to be another video though. So again, once we get to this step here, all we have to do is double click this icon. It's going to think for a few moments, connecting to the server desktop. Oh, my background just changed. There we go. And again, you'll see all of a sudden everything went off screen. You just see the welcome in the middle, simply because I went through and again, have it set to full screen. So let's go ahead and put it back here. Now, the problem with it right here is that I can't see my taskbar on the bottom, but that's okay because, again, normally I would be doing full screen so I could scroll down and take a look at it and stuff like that. But we're connected to the hosted desktop, and I am planning to do another video on a tour of the hosted desktop so you guys can see how things work on the hosted desktop. But as far as installing it and stuff, once you get to this point, you're all good. So hope this helps. You guys have yourself a wonderful day.